Well, good morning, or hello, good afternoon, good night, wherever you are in the world. Great to see you. Let me get you across a little bit of what has happened over the past few hours and what will happen over the next few hours. Donald Trump, the US president, is holding a press conference to talk about cleaning up Washington. And this is, of course, off the back of the attack on a former member of Doge who was trying to help someone. Now, he took to Truth Social and said that he would be holding this media event to talk about his plan. He's now given a little bit more detail on what that plan entails. I'll tell you some of it. He's essentially saying it will involve ending crime, murder and death in our nation's capital. Will also be about cleanliness and general physical renovation and condition of our once beautiful and well-maintained capital. He then goes into a lot of money that has been spent very poorly, in his opinion. He also then goes into zero illegals coming in. He's going to take the same attitude towards cleaning up Washington as he took to the border. And he's essentially saying we'll make our capital truly great again. Before the 10th squalor, filth and crime, it was the most beautiful capital in the world. And of course, he ends it with his, well, it's becoming a bit of a token line here. Thank you for your attention to this matter. So that is coming up. The Israeli PM, Benjamin Netanyahu, has spoken overnight, done a press conference. He's also spoken to President Trump, by the way, and his team put out something afterwards saying that he thanked President Trump for his unwavering support since, of course, October 7 and the war that has ensued since that day. He doesn't normally do these big press conferences, so this was really interesting. He used this opportunity to lambast completely so much of the international media that is printing lies, and this is not an opinion. They are printing things on the front pages of big newspapers that are not true. They're also printing propaganda direct from terrorists, so Hamas will put something out and the world's media essentially will print it as fact. He's called that out. He's also admitted that they were misled during Hamas hostage negotiations. I mean, that shouldn't come as a surprise to anyone. They're Hamas, they're terrorists, they're scumbags. Of course, they're going to mislead. When we look at the situation in Russia and Ukraine, the Wall Street Journal is reporting, we know that Trump is meeting with President Putin in Alaska in just a few days' time. Putin has apparently said that he will halt the war in exchange for eastern Ukraine. President Zelensky of Ukraine has said when this meeting was first announced that he is not giving up any land whatsoever, and my personal opinion would be that he should not have to. I don't think that's very realistic, though, in terms of ending the bloodshed and ending this war. So we'll watch and wait and see. I'll also be talking to this week Sergei, his name is. He was a former very close advisor of President Putin, and getting his insight into where the president's mind will be at this stage. We know that sanctions have increased. There's a lot of pressure on Russia at the moment. Is it enough to force him to end this war? Let's hope so, for everyone's sake. Now, Cain, Superman, the greatest to ever play Superman, an absolute legend, in my humble opinion. He's very active politically and has been for a little while now. About 3 days ago, there was a joke about him joining ICE. Well, turns out he is actually joining ICE, as well as making a million movies, still producing, directing, acting, doing the whole thing, hosting TV shows. He's also going to join ICE. He joins me to talk in depth about that, about Hollywood. Are they really as woke and as left as they want you to believe? Or are they privately reaching out to him and supporting his stance, not just on this issue of illegal immigration, but also on Donald Trump? I'm very interested to hear about that. He also talks about dealing with trolls, how people in the media are posting fat photos of him. He talks about being accused of sexual assault this week off the back of him saying that he will join ICE, the kind of things that people are using to try and destroy him. It's a fascinating conversation. We'll play you a little bit of Netanyahu's interview as well, of his press conference, bring you some highlights of that too. But for now, let's head straight into this Cain chat. Enjoy. He's a fascinating human being and doing really good things for America, plus political aspirations. I've spoken to him before about this, both privately and publicly, and listen to his answer, because I think this could be the most open to it I've heard. And we just recorded this, by the way, about half an hour ago, so it's very fresh for you. So have a listen to that. Cain, do we need to address you by a different title these days, or is it still Superman? Is it Iceman? What is it? What do you go by?
I like all of them. I'll take them all. I get a lot of other names too, but I'll go with Iceman or Superman too. I get called plenty of things. Dean is perfect.
Perfect. Now tell me, is this real, or is this another brilliant PR big strategy thing that President Trump's come up with to try and get people to join ICE?
Well, so what happened was I originally put out a video talking about recruitment for ICE. And I was well aware, because I know a lot of people within ICE and law enforcement, because I'm a law enforcement officer. I have been a deputy sheriff and a reserve police officer for close to a decade now. I stand up for our men and women in law enforcement, and I always have, and I make it very loud, especially when the defund the police movement hit here. So I put out this video, I talked about it, but it was a little bit misconstrued. Everybody thought that I had joined ICE. And I blame Jesse Waters for this because he put out something on his show. So I came on his show the next night and I said, well, it's your fault, Jesse. And now I've spoken to ICE officials and I am going to be an honorary ICE officer or agent or whatever you want to call it. They're both the same. So now, yeah, I'm going to do that. I'm going to get sworn in as soon as possible. And I'll continue to be able to make my movies and do my job and make my money. I'm not taking the $50,000 signing bonus or those things. Everybody's screaming. You know, when you do something like this, you get attacked personally. It's all ad hominem attacks. And I know you're very well aware of it. Everybody's, he needs the money. That's why he's doing it. But I mean, it's been on CNN and all other kind of, which is laughable. I mean, look, it's a cheap point. Bill Maher did it too. And it's a funny joke, but it's also crap. It's just absolutely not true. So, I mean, that's fine that they can make fun of it. But what I don't like is that they're belittling the men and women of ICE, our law enforcement officers who are amazing patriots. They're doing the job that Congress gave them the ability to do. They gave them the job. I mean, they put immigration law in place, and these lovely men and women of ICE are just enforcing the law that these Congress folks put into place. Yet they're being villainized and attacked, called the Gestapo, all these crazy things, and it just takes, I think, brave and patriotic Americans to step up and say, no, that's baloney. And it's worked, by the way. They've had almost 100,000 applications in this short period of time for 10 to 15,000 jobs. So men and women are stepping up.
You might not get in. I wouldn't be so
I've already been told
confident.
I'm in. I'll be the 15,001 person.
You know, the thing that really annoys me with not, I mean, the trolling and people being assholes, that's part and parcel, whatever you're used to that. But it's this inability to understand how noble it is to want to be part of something that matters so deeply. It's that, why are they so dismissive of what it is that ICE agents do? You know, they do an incredibly important role and one that is needed. Look at crime committed by illegal aliens in America. Look at young women who have been raped and slaughtered. You know, this isn't he needs the money. This is something legitimate that your country needs, that should be praised and revered.
Well, it doesn't fit the narrative for those folks. You know, it has to be, let's attack him personally because these are awful people and blah blah blah. We want to protect people who are in this country illegally. I don't know how Australia does it, but most countries, you're not going to get away with that. I've had a home in Spain for over 20 years. You're not going to get away with that in the EU. I've had immigration people stop me because I didn't have a passport, you know, exit visa from this place or a stamp or whatever, blah, blah, blah. And I go through the process. I'm very respectful and I follow their laws. And, you know, I speak Spanish when I'm there because fortunately I do speak enough Spanish to get by. And I'm very respectful. I don't go in there and protest and tell them we should overthrow their socialist government. Although, no, so I'm just saying, you know, it's very far one way, and it doesn't fit their narrative. So the reason Democrats want all these illegals in the United States is because of our census, and then that apportions how congressional districts are represented. And that's just the truth, and that's why they're having such a hissy fit over Texas redistricting their state right now, which they have every right to do per their constitution. You know, Democrats are the worst of the worst in doing that. In Illinois, Massachusetts, New Jersey, New York, you can just go on and on and on. Very blue states, California. All these states have done that. Texas doing it makes them scream. So if it doesn't fit the narrative, they're going to vilify you. They're going to go after you, and they're doing that regardless of protect. They're not trying to protect Americans. That's what bothers me the most.
No.
You talked about the women being raped and killed, and the crimes committed. I mean, Jocelyn Nungary, a 12-year-old woman from Houston, 12-year-old girl from Houston, raped and murdered. I mean, I don't hear those names coming out of their mouths very often.
No.
I don't hear them talking
They
about
don't
protecting.
fight for them.
No.
They don't fight for them.
And that makes me sick.
You talk about narrative. You don't fit the narrative of what they expect and want a Hollywood type to be like. I want to ask you this, and you're very public in your political persuasions. You just got common sense. You're not a right-wing nut job. You're just common sense would be my take on it. But are you really an anomaly in Hollywood, or are you just one of the only ones brave enough to talk about how you really feel? Are you as lonely as you would seem in this movie star world?
No. There are tons of folks who reach out to me. People within Hollywood, 90% of them extremely positive, and then 10% that want to talk about it. And I'm happy when somebody that I know within Hollywood or anywhere else, even just my friends, who's like, "What are you doing? Why are you doing this? Please explain it to me." And okay, let's have the conversation. I'll tell you why I'm doing it. You give me your opinion, and I'll give you mine, and we'll discuss it, and we'll still remain friends. And that's how it should be. Unfortunately, it could become so polarizing and so othering that everybody just says, "Oh, well, if you don't agree with what I agree with, then you're a Nazi, or you're a bigot, or you're a xenophobe, or whatever it happens to be." And it's crazy. And then, of course, having played Superman, you get all the Superman connections and everybody screaming that he was an illegal alien and he should be kicked out, even though he would have been a refugee, which is insane. But whatever the case, and a foundling per United States law in that time. It's just crazy. A child under the age of 5 abandoned. That's not an illegal event.
I have not seen. They don't.
Oh, it's everywhere.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's
it
actually,
really
I'm
hurts
gonna
my feelings, Erin.
Well, usually it's so predictable, and same with me. The stuff they come at me with, it's like, oh, genocide Barbie. Oh, gee, because I condemn terrorism. Oh, gee, shock me. But that's kind of clever, the kind of Superman child about, like, I'm going to pay that.
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I agree with it.
As far as it goes. Now, tell me what will you be doing as an ICE agent, an honorary one, albeit? You were a football player. You professional. Will you be out there, and will you be running from vans?
Well, I am certainly capable of it, and would do it if it was necessary. I don't think that's probably the best use of my talent and skills, but if Director of ICE, Lyons, decides that that's what he wants me to do, I'll do it. But obviously I think my best position is to discuss the heroic actions of our men and women and highlight our men and women of ICE and highlight the absolutely awful, worst of the worst criminals that we're deporting, that we are arresting and deporting. Why do you want criminal gangs living next door to you? Tren de Aragua. Why do you want cartels, human smuggling going on right under your nose, and these people protected? That's insane. It makes no sense to me. I refuse to bow down to it, and so I will be an ICE officer, regardless of the hate that comes my way, which is fine. I can deflect it all. It doesn't bother me. But I fear for our ICE agents and officers, and they have worn masks and things of that nature because congressmen, our U.S. congressmen are doxing them, showing who they are, and that's dangerous to their families. It's absolutely un-American. It's insane, and it shouldn't be going on. If Congress doesn't like the immigration laws that we have in this country, then Congress should write bills that change it.
Not demonize those who are actually carrying out the things that keep those laws in place and follow the rules.
100%. They should not be doing that. And they're doing that to keep people quiet and keep them down and have them operate out of a situation of fear. And I refuse to do that. Just, you look at the attacks, and then I think about the attacks that Donald Trump was under, the lawfare here in the United States, the things that were going on that they're screaming about now. Oh my gosh, he's going to weaponize the DOJ against people. They did it to him horribly, never before seen in the United States of America, and hopefully never again. But these people broke the law. They colluded. It was disgusting to stop a man from running for president of the United States. So the things that they would do to me, if this was a different administration, I would be fearful of my own administration. Now I'm not. You can call Donald Trump all kinds of names. That's allowed here in the United States. You can say, I don't like this. You can call me names too. But if you make threats, you've crossed the line.
Who have you heard from in the administration? Because I would imagine they'd be incredibly grateful for your very public support of not just them, but of course, more so for you, it's about the ICE officers.
I've heard from a lot of congressmen and senators, law enforcement officers, both at the state and community level and at the federal level. I've heard from old friends that I haven't seen in a long time. I've heard from all sorts of folks. 90% positive. I don't drop names who I'm going to speak to within the administration, but I have a lot of friends who are very high ranking and they're wonderful people. So when I watched them get dragged through the mud, I knew that it would come my way. My dad was like, think about this. Are you sure you want to have all this pointed at you, And I said, I think it's the right thing to do. And I do think it's the right thing to do. And I'm very, very proud to stand shoulder to shoulder with our men and women of ICE. But what's really funny? I have heard from congressmen, Democratic congressmen on Twitter, of course, that have just tried to lambaste me. Jared Moskowitz I think he's of Florida. I don't know who he is. I've never met him personally. Said that, Dean Cain receiving a $50,000 bonus is the biggest bonus he will have ever received. Well, A, I'm not getting that bonus. And B, why denigrate our federal law enforcement officers? That's insane. Why belittle them? Why try to put them in danger? Eric Swalwell, he said something about, he said Superman didn't wear a mask. I said, well, he wore glasses and that was his that was the way he hit himself. But it's just stupid.
This is the substance of arguments from the Democrats. This is what you're having to repel is arguments regarding whether or not the insanity of it is mind-blowing. And he is a particular breed of weird.
Yeah,
like those videos of, he's jealous. He's trying to do awful videos of himself.
That's awful. But, a lot of these guys, first of all, it's like high school.
Yeah.
That's what it feels like. It feels like high school. And, does Donald Trump do it? Yes, he does. Very effectively. Much better than these guys do. And I think they're trying to copy that. They're trying to jump onto that and be cool to the young folks. But young folks here in the United States and I think throughout the world are sick of this crap. They're ready to go, look, this isn't right. That doesn't make sense. You don't attack people for this or that or the other. You can have conversations with people you disagree with. And that's how things get solved. It's not by less dialogue. It's by more dialogue, in my opinion.
I love the point you make about people engaging and even people online. Someone will write something and you can tell straight away if someone's just being an asshole or they're just, they're malicious, or if they genuinely don't understand or believe something to be the case that isn't. And I'll often engage with those people and say, watch my videos, because you're not representing how I feel or what I say at all. You're looking at a troll and you're going from there. They'll often come back and say, hey, I watched your videos and you're right, I got it wrong, and thank you for enlightening. It's not always that response. Other times it's no, you're whatever.
But they didn't really watch your video then.
But that's, people make judgments. So they should all. But how do you deal with that as well? Because I deal with this daily, so do you. You also do what is very unpopular in leftist elite circles, which is you stand up for Israel and for the Jewish population in the world. When people question your integrity, they say, what about humanity? What about kids? This is why you do what is right for all of those reasons. Does it frustrate you, or do you just accept that it will not always be interpreted the way that it is?
It used to frustrate me when I was younger, about your age. But now, you young thing.
We can
but
cut
now
it
it doesn't
here,
bother
guys.
me as
We've
much.
got the line.
It doesn't bother me as much. It really doesn't. I just, it kind of tells me I'm over the target. And I know that's cliche. You're getting the flack when you're over the target, but it's true. I know by the unhinged responses that I've done something that really offends the certain type of person who just wants no borders, anarchy, madness. Of course, until it affects them. When there's a criminal street gang, in their neighborhood, woo! Look how fast they are to call 911. And when they do, guess what happens? A hero in blue shows up to protect them, regardless of all the crap they may have said and or tweeted and pushed. They see that these officers are amazing and they'll put their lives on the line to protect even those people who denigrate them.
I saw this thing the other day that said, I don't care, you jeer at me, but I've seen what you cheer for. So I'm completely okay with that. And I thought that's actually really clever because I look at some of the people that are the most vile, and then I see them at pro-Hamas rallies and waving, ISIS flags. And I go, you know what? What an honor that you don't think I'm a good person. What a
100%.
privilege that is for me.
Hamas, I mean, anybody who's supporting Hamas is out of their minds, in my opinion. So do I grieve for Palestinian children? Yes, horrifically. But from their education, from their indoctrination, from the crap that's happened to them when they're very small and very little and very impressionable, they're being taught at the very youngest of ages to pick up a rifle and say, I want to kill Jews, I want to stab Jews. It's disgusting. It's through their educational system, and this all falls squarely on the shoulders of Hamas, and I hope Israel annihilates them completely and rids the world of that disgusting and vile ideology.
Hear, hear. Last thing before I go, and I've asked you this before, so it's completely uncreative of me. You've got to be considering in some way, shape, or form some kind of tilt at politics. Come on, you're doing ICE now. Come on, just give us something to cling to. Like, is it Dean 2028?
If I thought I could do good, I would get involved in politics, and I think I can. But I might be more effective doing the things that I'm doing, making movies that celebrate, family values and morals, and teach people things, and making documentaries about the Armenia-Azerbaijan situation that now is. Thank you, President Trump. There's a peace agreement there for the first time in 35 years. It's amazing. I'd like to see death and destruction stop. I'd love to see that happen. But I think maybe, look, politics is disgusting, and they bring out everything. I've had everything thrown at me. This has brought out some incredibly funny stuff. People saying that I have tax liens, that I sexually harassed them, and very unattractive people said that, by the way. All kinds of things, there's no way. There's no possible way that's happening. But I mean, stuff like that's going to happen when you're in the public eye. And I look at, again, Secretary Hegseth, a good friend of mine, very good friend of mine. The guy, if you cut him open, please don't do it, but he would bleed red, white, and blue. I mean, the guy is an absolute patriot. Has he fallen short of Jesus? Yeah, we all have. We've all made mistakes. We've all done things. I've done some things I'm not proud of, for sure. But that's not how we do things. We're human beings. We're imperfect, and we're always striving to do better. It's like the United States, a very imperfect country, but always striving for a more perfect union. And I think we're achieving that.
Can I make that point though? And there's been a lot of talk. My dad was a senator for years about me entering Australian politics, and then a couple of people will say, "Oh, but all of your skeletons will come out of the closet." And I go, mate, there is nothing left in any closet. And mind you, I'm fairly boring anyway. But I feel like in the position you're in, that shouldn't be a factor, because what else could they try and do to you that they're not already doing?
Make stuff up. That's what they're doing now.
They do that anyway.
And they do that anyway. They're making it up now, and certainly post old fat pictures or unflattering shots. And
we've all been there. You should have seen me in year 9.
I love it. I mean, Bill Maher did. I mean, like some guy on CNN. Or no, Anna Navarro said, and listen, Anna Navarro should not be casting stones. Saying, Dean, he joining ICE, he should be joining a gym. Sorry, honey, the picture you used was from 7 years ago, whatever it was, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, that's just silly. That's just,
they have no substance. They've got no legitimate argument.
It's high school.
It is. It's not a great way to end it, because I'd rather it not be high school. But Dean Cain, you are amazing, and you continue to inspire so many people, including, I love, just quickly, your rebuttals on X are great. And I feel like I used to think, you just completely ignore it. You then move beyond even caring to where that, it's just great entertainment, isn't it, at times? I love your, do you take time to come up with them, or are they off the cuff?
Well, they're off the cuff for sure, because I see someone say something and I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So sometimes I might take a little bit of time to come up with something that I think is a little more clever, but it's crazy. When John Leguizamo attacked me for joining ICE, what kind of an idiot joins ICE? I don't know, a patriotic American, but he's like, your what do you say? Your pronouns are has, Ben. I mean, like,
Sorry, I'm not laughing.
what? That's supposed to hurt me? I don't understand, you know? And nor it goes the other side. You know, I live in a very, very, very nice home. I sold my home a couple of years ago for a very large sum of money. People see that and they talk about that, and then I'm an elitist and I don't care about what anybody else makes. So you can't win one way or the other. I'm a father. I am a filmmaker. I do believe in liberty and justice for all. I believe in truth, justice, and the American way, just like it used to be with Superman. And I hold to those values as best I can.
That is a beautiful way to end. Just give us the plug of your latest movie, because I know people will want to watch it even more so now.
That's another thing, is I'm busy as can be. I've just finished directing another movie and co-starring in it called Holy One, which we finished 4 days ago, 5 days ago, whatever it is, almost a week now. And we've got 1 day left on that for some pickups, and we're done. I've got a movie called Little Angels. It's a lovely family movie that's about... I love it. Did you see it?
It's brilliant. Yes. And
all right.
My daughter loves it.
See, that's wonderful.
The messages are beautiful.
Yes, but that's a good thing I can do as a filmmaker, and I like doing that. So that's on angel.com right now. It's one of their top 10 streaming things. It's going to be streaming everywhere. Little Angel will be streaming everywhere in about 2 to 4 weeks. I'm not 100% sure what those dates are, so a lot more people can see that, and I'll continue making these movies. I've got Holy One that I just finished that's in the can, so to speak. Hopefully it'll come out in the spring. It's a story of redemption of a golfer who is a drinker, gambler, womanizer who hits bottom, and then it's a little homage to one of my favorite movies in the world. It's a Wonderful Life, and he turns his life around. Then I'm shooting a movie called End the Wait. I'm producing and shooting that. I produced this last film and the one before. And that's about organ transplantation here in the United States, based on a 100% true story. And then I'm going to shoot another one. It's a biopic about somebody that I have much respect for, called Tenacity. So that's... meanwhile, I'll also be doing...
So you're not looking for something to do?
Yeah, I'll also be hosting Masters of Illusion, which is a worldwide thing that's been on for 12 years. I'll be doing that again this year. And Hollywood Christmas. I mean, it's like... people who think I have no time to, have all the time in the world, they're out of their minds, but bless them. Keep throwing stones, and I'll just keep working and smiling and talking to lovely people like you.
It's the greatest revenge ever. Dean Cain, you're a legend. Thank you so, so much.
Thanks, Erin.
As I said earlier, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has spoken overnight at a press conference. I wanted to bring you just some highlights of that now. So have a watch, have a listen, see what you think.
The truth is that Hamas still has thousands of armed terrorists in Gaza. It vows to repeat the savagery of the October 7th massacre, and to do so again and again and again. It openly professes its goal to destroy the state of Israel. It subjugates Gazans. It steals their foods. It shoots them when they try to move to safe zones. And I think it's instructive that now many Gazans are fighting back. They're begging us, they're begging the world, free us, and free Gaza from Hamas. No nation can accept a genocidal terrorist organization, an organization committed to its annihilation, a stone's throw from its citizens. Our goal is not to occupy Gaza. Our goal is to free Gaza, free it from Hamas terrorists. The war can end tomorrow if Gaza, or rather if Hamas lays down its arms and releases all the remaining hostages. Gaza will be demilitarized. Israel will have overriding security responsibility. A security zone will be established on Gaza's border with Israel to prevent future terrorist incursions. A civilian administration will be established in Gaza that will seek to live in peace with Israel. That's our plan for the day after Hamas, and let me summarize it. 5 principles for concluding the war. 1, Hamas disarmed. 2nd, all hostages freed. 3rd, Gaza demilitarized. 4th, Israel has overriding security control. And 5, non-Israeli peaceful civilian administration. By that I mean a civilian administration that doesn't educate its children for terror, doesn't pay terrorists, and doesn't launch terrorist attacks against Israel. That's what we want to see in Gaza. So it's neither Hamas nor the PA. That's our plan. Given Hamas's refusal to lay down its arms, Israel has no choice but to finish the job and complete the defeat of Hamas. Now, we've done a great deal. We have about 70 to 75% of Gaza under Israeli control, military control. But we have 2 remaining strongholds, okay? These are Gaza City and the central camps in the Muasi. That's roughly, it's schematically presented here, but it's fairly accurate. Last Thursday, Israel's Security Cabinet, instructed the IDF to dismantle the 2 remaining Hamas strongholds in Gaza City and the central camps. Contrary to false claims, this is the best way to end the war and the best way to end it speedily. We will do so by first enabling the civilian population to safely leave the combat areas to designated safe zones. In these safe zones, they'll be given ample food, water, and medical care, as we've done before. And again, contrary to false claims, our policy throughout the war has been to prevent a humanitarian crisis, while Hamas's policy has been to create it. Since the beginning of the war, Israel has let in close to 2 million tons of aid. I know of no other army that has enabled such aid to go to the civilian population in enemy territory. Now, if we had a starvation policy, no one in Gaza would have survived after 2 years of war. But our policy has been the exact opposite. We let in, as I said, almost 2 million tons of aid and sent millions of text messages, millions of phone calls to Gazans to get out of harm's way. Yet in the last few months, Hamas has violently looted the aid trucks meant to get to Palestinian civilians. They deliberately created a shortage of supply. And the UN consistently refused, until recently, to distribute the thousands of trucks that we led into Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing. So our problems, we've had tons of uncollected food rotting on the Gazan side of the border because the UN was and still is unwilling to deliver all of it. Here are the tons and tons and tons of humanitarian aid that Israel led in to the Gazan side of the Kerem Shalom crossing, just sitting there because it's not distributed. So now we're going to go around this obstacle. We are going around it by doing 3 things. 1, can I show this, please? Okay. Designating safe corridors for humanitarian aid distribution. No, that's showing the problem, not showing the solution, but here it is. First, designating rather safe corridors for aid distribution. You can drive trucks there and you'll be safe. Second, increasing the number of safe distribution points managed by the Gazan humanitarian foundations. And 3, airdrops. That's airdrops done by the Israeli Air Force, and we're inviting others to join us. The result has been a humanitarian surge, which we're coordinating with President Trump and his team, and hundreds of trucks have gone in recent days. This is preventing hunger, but it's not prevented the global campaign of lies that we have all witnessed. So in Gaza, despite Hamas's obstacles, 2 million people are now getting access to humanitarian aid. But I'll tell you who isn't. The only ones that are being deliberately starved in Gaza are our hostages. This is Evyatar David. Look at his hand, at his arm. He's being deliberately starved by these Hamas monsters. And look at the Hamas captor. Look at the difference. He's eating, and he's eating well. The purpose of this news conference is to puncture the lies and spread the truth, but that distortion has been propelled around the earth, almost the way that the Jewish people were maligned in the Middle Ages. Every massacre of the Jewish people was preceded by massive vilification. We were said to be spreading vermin to Christian societies. We were said to be poisoning the wells. We were said to slaughter Christian children for their blood. And as these lies spread around the globe, they were followed by horrific massacres, pogroms, displacements, finally culminating in the worst massacre of them all, the Holocaust. Today, the Jewish state is being maligned in a similar way. Everything that I told you could be verified easily, but it hasn't. And the international press has bought hook, line, and sinker Hamas statistics, Hamas claims, Hamas forgeries, and Hamas photographs. For example, these 3 children. The first one is Osama al-Raqub. He is in Italy getting treatment because Israel got him out. That's what he looks like today. He has a genetic disease that damages the lungs and digestive system. It makes it hard to absorb nutrients and gain weight. Okay? So Israel facilitated Osama's travel to Italy, where he got the medical aid that transformed his position. The second one is Abdul Qadir al-Fayumi. He suffers from a genetic neurological disorder, spinal muscular atrophy, a degenerative condition that causes muscle wasting, weakness, and severe weight loss unrelated to nutrition. This was the real cause of his frail appearance, not starvation. In fact, he was treated in Israel in 2018. Doesn't help because it's a congenital disease and it defies most treatment at least. The third one is the most celebrated one. This is a New York Times cover photo. It's on the front page of Muhammad Zakaria Ayub and his mother. Muhammad Zakaria Ayub is suffering from a genetic illness which you're familiar with. It's called cerebral palsy. His mother is well fed and his brother is healthy. I'm looking right now into the possibility of a governmental suit against the New York Times because this is outrageous. Of course, the correction was postage size. I don't know where it was buried. But this is outrageous. These are the 3 most celebrated photos, and they're all fake. It's the kind of malignant lies that were leveled at the Jewish people in the Middle Ages. We won't suffer. We won't allow it to go unchallenged, and this is the purpose of this press conference. I hope that you open your eyes to a simple fact. Hamas lies.
Well, thanks for your company. We'll see you next time. Bye.